how we think, and that's something we're developing together. Also, the speaker that I'd like to introduce is involved with Migration Hub Berlin. They just opened up Migration Hub Athens, which I think some of you might have known about just this week. So those are 2 points of contact in which they offered, if there's something where it's ready to be tested, we'll take it there, right? So I know that you have your concept that you think this is valuable. This is where you actually find out if it is. She wants to share a story of how she was able to think about, address some of the problems that they were seeing, and actually find solutions that really made a difference in just 1 month. So I'd like to introduce Paula Schwarz, Startup Boat EU, Mahar Car, and Migration Hub.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me, and good luck with all of your projects. From the beginning I would like to say that I'm going to spend the day here. If you have any sort of questions about the situation on the ground, I'm very happy to answer them and to share contacts with anything that you need. Now, I'm half Greek and half German. I grew up between Greece and Germany, and I had been very upset about the situation of the border regions of Europe. Also, if you look at Greece and the way that it's been struggling for a long time now. So I started building on the road when I was a little bit younger. I was working with a startup bus in Africa, and we were developing concepts that were very much around growing business ideas that could work in rougher regions. And when I finished that, I came home for the summertime, and I had built a concept that's called the Startup Boat, that is more about tackling a social issue with things that are scalable, that are financially self-sustainable, and that are based on tech, because I like tech. And I wasn't going to launch this project because it was a nice idea, but I had too much to do anyway, and I just wanted to use my summer as well. And then what happened was that in 10 days, 50,000 people canceled their bookings to Greece because of the migration crisis and because of the referendum that was not passed in Greece in terms of the European Union. So, And basically what happened then is that a friend of mine said, you know, you have the website there, you have it all up. It really didn't take me so long to create it. And because it was a Weebly website, it was just a thought, an idea at the time. And then I launched it, and immediately in 3 days I had the founder of the Lufthansa Innovation Hub who had signed up, the top 2 people from McKinsey Global, the future scientist, Katerina, who stayed in the team with us later. And so they all flew into Samos, which is the border between Greece and Turkey, where I was partly raised, and they started getting into the topic with me, and we really developed a team spirit, because what happened when we were on the ground is that we were very close to the actual situation that is bad, as you know from the media, but it's a different thing to be able to be talking to people who had just arrived and who are in need. So just to give you an idea of the concept of the process that we used to develop those concepts was that on the first day we had an assessment day. So we drove around the island, and we immediately saw very big masses of people who had just arrived. We got out of the car, we spoke with them, we found out what exactly it is that they needed, and we understood that immediate help is very important, but what you guys are doing also is to try and help in a more structural way, right? So it's a sustainable thing that is lacking also on the ground, that enables people to work together to create an ecosystem that can really promote change and that can organize things on the spot for everyone, for the NGOs, for the volunteers, for the refugees, and for the locals. So what we did after we had spoken to the people for the first time is we went to the refugee camp off the island, which is hidden up in the woods. I go there all the time, but for people who have never been to the island, it's a very interesting experience because it's pretty shitty there. And basically, then we went to the largest regions where people arrive just to see the masses, right? And then we got on the boat the next day, 18 people, as I said, and we thought about what exactly it is that we can focus on, that we want to work on. And we thought that information was something that we can handle remotely as well, even when we're back home. It's things that you can maneuver also through Google, through all sorts of digital tools that connect you with the people who are there. And so we set up this information website called First Contact that gives information to people who first arrive on the island. And it's things such as where you find the next police station, where you find the next hospital, where you can book a ferry, and when you're allowed to go to the supermarket, because many people arrive and they're super hungry, but people don't allow them to go shopping, right? Which is an interesting thing. Or currency exchange between the lira and the euro when people come over. Or only the fact that they're in Greece, many people arrive and they think they're in Spain. Because just the human traffickers told them that they would get them to Spain, but actually it's another country, obviously. And then what happened was that we launched the website, we went back to the harbors, we put up signs everywhere that were literally handwritten, and we had, in the first 2 days, we had 8,000 people on the website. Currently we have around 13,000, 14,000 every week from the border region, so the numbers for us have been stable so far. And on the last day, we went to the mayor of the island and actually showed him what had happened. And he was very positively impressed. And we've been working together with him ever since in the development of further concepts. So what happened after that is that we were approached by a lot of initiatives that were trying to understand who is doing what, because this sort of chaos in the ecosystem that we see is a problem, because there are so many inspired minds and capable people, and we need to find a way to link those together, which I think here, Han, you're making a really amazing and great effort, and I congratulate you on that. So I think that what our answer to this was to provide a physical space. I went up to someone who I knew has an office that he's not using, and I asked him if I could use it to do the first migration hub there, and then he started screaming at me for 30 minutes, and then he gave me the key. And then after 4 days, we opened those rooms. We had 200 initiatives on the first day, and it keeps exploding in a very positive way. So there's all sorts of workshops. For example, there are guys at the moment who are thinking about housing options that are not temporary in terms of these better shelter IKEA things, but more how cheap can you produce pieces of wood that you can theoretically plug together, and you could put them potentially on the German countryside, because people will want to stay for a longer period of time as well. And there's a lot of land that is not used because many people are moving into the cities, and there's actually people who are already thinking about these kinds of things. Then it's things that have more to do with integration, cooking courses, between people who've been here for a while, locals and refugees. And that has just been magnificent. Now, for me personally, I was not able to stay in Berlin and manage the migration hub, simply because my country is doing very badly at the moment because of this crisis, and I think there's not so many people who can be down there permanently to test. So we are currently in Athens. We're between Athens and Lesbos to really take down as many projects that we can find. We have a very active workforce at the moment of around 50 volunteers who are on Lesbos and in Athens. They're mainly working with digital tools, and we are looking for the best solutions to implement. And the way that we do that is, we launch in a very small manner. We just have a landing page, just like what we did with First Contact. We see how the reaction is. Then usually we get a large corporate in who could potentially also finance the model and who's interested in using it also to kind of get into the topic and seem like the good guy. I know it doesn't sound perfect, but that's just sometimes how you have to do it. Also because these guys provide technology, just like what we did with Marhakar now and BlaBlaCar. And Marhakar is a very cool example that I'm quickly going to touch upon, because we set up a landing page, we set up a Facebook page, and we had it as refugee taxi up in the beginning. And then we found out that we kept getting all these Facebook likes and all these hits on our website, because refugee taxi is the code word for the black boats that bring people from Turkey to Greece. And we didn't know about it. A translator told us then. So we had to change the name, and what happened afterwards is that, since it's a carpooling service from volunteers for refugees who have been registered locally, we wanted it to be that use case, right? And then we were approached by a lot of volunteers who said, why can I not drive? Like, can people pick me up? So, and we didn't think about that at all. And so the model kept shifting, but it kept getting more and more precise. And today we're very happy with it. We have a very vibrant community on Lesbos. We have around 50 drivers. They do specific routes at the moment, but they also have a sort of alert pickup service. And we really just work with WhatsApp groups, telephone calls, Facebook groups, and we literally, in the Migration Hub in Athens country, we have a back office where there's coordinating people there who are helping the riders and the drivers who are on the spot. And it's a first effort, and the interesting thing is that has been happening now for the last week, a little bit over a week, and the impact on the ground is significant. It's nothing that I'm running, it's a colleague of mine, and I'm super proud of her, but just please, with the things that you do, be lean, and if the process doesn't work, kick the process. As I told you, like, I'm Greek, and I'm fed up with processes that have not worked so far, and I'm inspired by the fact that people go about problems differently, change their way of thinking, and produce something that actually works. And if you produce something, think about who you're producing it for. You're not doing it for yourself, you're not doing it for people who are in England. It's a completely different use case. And it starts with a change in thinking, where you get into the role of the other, of the user, and you develop things for him, which I find personally a little bit of a problem when it comes to things that are being developed also in Germany, because it's not about, German citizens producing for German citizens, but you're actually producing for someone who you don't know. And also, I would, as a closing note, like to encourage to produce things that don't make people fit into a system, but really maybe enable them to be part of something that's bigger than what we have today. I know this is a almost political thing to say, but with the situation that we've seen so far, it's time for a new vibe, and you guys can create it with the digital tools that you're building. You can use the power of pictures, of written language, of videos, and of content, really, to create a new vision that connects us all. Thank you very much.
I know we actually strangely have not opened up the space to any questions for any of our speakers because we moved everything along. Are there questions that people might have for Paula? Okay.
It's brilliant. What you're doing is amazing. I just had a question about your carpooling service, because we were our concern is also about thinking about how can we actually link the community, the local communities from the host countries with the refugees, and how can we actually build the trust between those two. And I just want to ask you, how are you dealing with the trust with the drivers and people who are taking it right?
Should I can
That's
just speak?
Oh, for the live stream, the microphone is
useful. I think I didn't actually hear it properly, did I?
It's okay, we learn. Okay. You don't walk around like that.
Yes. Cool.
So I think it's all a process. Mm-hmm. Building startups, we all think that things can happen overnight, and human relationships don't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. Trust is gained, mm-hmm. and we are in a very delicate situation right now, where we have to work on that. Mm-hmm. every one of us, and it's nothing that you can solve through digital means. But what we found very effective is to literally talk to people who want to get involved and build teams, if you can, of locals and refugees. So that's what we're doing in Athens. You know, sometimes at 12 o'clock at night, my colleague and I will sit there on Monastiraki Square, which is the main center where people also arrive, and our office is very close by. And then you have people who are super capable also, who also work very late, and they just sit next to you and you start talking with people who just came, and you ask them, you know, would you want to join our team, and just start with slow work. And I think these moments are super important. Also, if you can get into situations like these in your communities, because you have to get to know the people, you have to get to know what inspires them, and maybe build a concept together with them that they can grow. And in terms of Mahakar, for example, we thought that it would be very interesting to have a community manager who is Arab speaking and Farsi speaking, and someone who manages the Greek community slash the volunteer community. So because these two are interlinked, they are interdependent, they don't work without one another, and this is also psychologically a very nice thing if it keeps working, right? So we're in the process of building it up, but it's a wonderful example. And I think if you have the first example of that, it's very easy to inspire others.
Sure, great.
So,
See here. Are you have a question?
Yes.
I can just, hey, start. Yeah, you can with it. Okay.
I can do an exercise. Yeah, my question was actually a bit more technical. You mentioned community.
yeah.
Do you open source your work so people who aren't physically at that location can contribute in ways they can?
That's a super interesting question, and we try to as much as possible. We work very fast, and we get a lot of requests from people who want to implement their tools on the spot. The reason why we work so fast is not because we want to exclude anyone, but because the crisis moves very fast. So I'm sure you know that now from Lesbos it changed to Idomeni, and we have winter coming up, so we have to be super flexible with the things that we develop. And I've experienced that now in the last 5 months, if we involve too many people in a project lead, it ruins the process, it really does. And so it's super important to keep a sort of methodology that works for the team, but the team has to stay the team. You know, only this process of onboarding new people when it's not relevant for the project, and when you're losing social impact on the ground just to include others who want to help, it's not in the interest of the entire project. And this is something that we always regard very much. You know, who do we bring in, who can really add impact, and what role would this person have? Is there a position at the moment that is not filled, that is adding extra work to someone who's doing another thing? Where can we find that person? If we don't have this fitting person, it makes no sense to put in the wrong team player, because you will never make a basketball player out of someone who wants to be a fisherman. Well, you can, but in the process of, you know, speeding it up, since it's pressing, it might be better to slowly engage people then. So, yeah.
Okay, can I address that?
Yeah, sure.
I was just going to say that I'm going to look at some open source projects, because I think you're talking, my understanding is thinking about actually getting somebody actually full-time or putting a lot of hours. I was thinking more of, say, you see some projects like Symphony Framework, for example, they have like over 3,000 contributors, but all contribute maybe an hour a week or an hour a month.
Yeah.
But it's the items, the work needs to be done as planned and so on. So everyone can think of bite-sized piece of work, so someone's not doing a huge like epic, it's more to do one small bit and kind of farm it out in parallel.
Yeah.
But there is the management, obviously, of them coming back.
So I would love that. We work with with a process that's called scrapping. You know, like we really just we identify a need on the ground, and then we go in and we're pretty intense with implementing it, just to say, you know, we're here now, we're talking to the authorities, we have the contacts to the NGOs, we have the relevant people who would do the project management on the ground. But we have never worked with a sort of schedule in terms of tech development before, because we have this large partner usually and the local community. But there is room to organize it in a better way. So I'd love for us to talk about it. Yeah?
Awesome.
Thanks.
Nice connections. Was there Eva? Were you raising your hand?
Yeah, just a question. We did a hack in Athens about a month ago with the Athens University, and there's a quite big group, hybrid cities, and there's quite big group which is being formed as part of coordination of the universities that we probably should hook up with, because they have all the PhDs and postgrads that actually would be quite happy to support that kind of bite-sized work that could be inputted at very high-level people. Yeah. But because the Greek media was keeping the coverage low, when we were in Athens, we realized we knew more than the Athenians to a degree. So I think having that sort of migration hubs on the way with the refugee co-working connected to the universities would be a really good thing. So the resource is there, just directing the resource.
Yeah. The migration hub in Athens is actually huge. It's really big. Yeah, this wonderful man donated it. So these people are always welcome, and we have space for them, and we would love to partner. Thank you very much.